Ladies and gentlemen, please help me give a warm QSC welcome to Scott Schwefel.
Thank you for that. Looking forward to being here because I live here. I live in Excelsior, and it's wonderful to be able to just drive. Pretty high energy entrance. I considered cheering my way up here, but I was afraid I'd knock my microphone off. That'd be a bad way to start. Let's do this to start. You're making a lot of new connections. You're meeting a lot of new people. As quickly as you can, I'd like everybody to turn to the person in the table behind him and introduce yourself. Go. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I shouldn't have done that. All right, here's the thing. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have started that way. It doesn't get us off on the right foot, does it? You know what was funny to hear is the laughter in the room as you started to realize this isn't going to work, right? So, and what's funny is it really is our topic. Our topic is communication. And what I said, to me seems so clear and so easy to understand, but in practical application, that doesn't work so well, does it? It's funny when you realize it. So I want to introduce you to a model, right, and some tools that you can use. If you haven't done it already, there's some tools on the edges of the tables. There's actually 3 different items that I'd like each one of you to grab. So if you just pass them all the way down for me, that would be terrific. We'll rely on your energy. So right next to you in the corner of each of the tables is a stack of information. Yep, it's right there. Just go ahead and pass it all the way down. And you've got a set. Yeah, you were well prepared. I watched the room fill up from the back. It's like we're all in 3rd grade again. It'll never change. I love this stuff. So thanks for getting those out in front of you. I'm going to take you through some exercises as we go through this. It's not just me sharing some information, but it's also going to be you sharing some information with each other about communication styles. Because what's underneath everything that I'm going to talk about with you is being able to answer and fully understand the question, who are you? It's a question that we have been answering our entire lives. And on the one hand, it seems pretty simple, right? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, when we meet somebody, it's such an easy answer to give in terms of who we think we are. But I really do want you to introduce yourselves to each other, but I'd like you to do it a little bit differently than you maybe did in the past. I'd like you to come up with an alliterative adjective to introduce yourself. Nobody paid attention in 7th grade English, me neither. In fact, I think I may have been caught for cheating at one point in that grade. Alliterative is just an adjective that starts with the same sound as your first name. My name is Scott. I would introduce myself as speaking Scott, standing Scott, smiling Scott. Not a big deal. You could be tired Tom, frustrated Frank, magical Mike, beautiful Betty, or silly Sam. But come up with a word right now and introduce yourself with that word to people on your right and left. Now it's time to wake up. Go. Okay, here's what's fun about that. Here's what's fun about that exercise for some of you. It was a fun word to come up with. You like it. You were happy when you shared it. It felt pretty cool. Some of you didn't come up with a word because you were kind of scrolling through a bunch in your mind and you didn't want to put one out there. But some of you put one out there and now you wish you could take it back. I had a chance to come up with something cool and I didn't. What's interesting about this to me is as you think about interacting with not just your customers, right, which is a big, big part of this, but your teams that you work with every day, you bring an idea of who you are to work every day. We call it your game face. You put your game face on when you come into work and you start to think about a way that you show up and have an impact on other people. Same thing with clients. You walk in the door and you think that they are having an experience of you, which is the same way you're experiencing yourself. And we find out, right, psychologically, that's not always true. Meaning there's times when you come across in a way that you don't realize is maybe not as positive or not as helpful as you think. There's times when you're engaged in a conversation that might be a little stressful and you back away and you say to yourself, why did I say that? I know better, right? Because there's times when our subconscious takes over for what we do. And what I want you to start thinking about is switching on your brains and moving to consciousness as you pay attention to the teams that you lead and as you pay attention to your clients. What I mean by that is be consciously aware of who they are, how they show up, and how they might be different from you. When this all starts for you is when you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror. Take a look at my graphic here. I think it's a great way to illustrate where some of us are in terms of being well connected to an understanding of who we really are and how we really show up. okay? My kitten friend here wakes up, looks in the mirror, and has a little bit of a distorted idea of how it's going to be perceived by everybody else. So the kitten does what? Comes into work with an expectation that it's going to be, everyone is going to run in fear, right? And instead somebody picks it up and scratches its head. And it starts to think, wait a second, this is not how you treat a lion. So the question to you would be, like, is the person you see in the mirror really the same one everybody else experiences? So let's go through a little self-examination and see if that's true. I want you to look up here and think about a metaphor of a kitten and of a lion. And I want you to think about which one's more like you, which one just describes you better, okay? And you're going to pick one of the two. Where are my kittens in the room? Raise your hand. You identify more with the kitten. Let me see. Look around the room. Okay. Not that many, maybe 20 of you. Put your hands down. Where's my lions? Okay. Do you notice what's interesting about that is how you voted? How did the kittens vote? Kittens vote like this. Nobody wants to be the only kitten in the room, okay? So they look around the room, and as people see more kittens pop up, then there's kind of a flow, and the hands all come up like this. Kittens feel their way to the answer. How did the lions vote? Boom! Right? Didn't look around, didn't care, just boom. Instant digital decision. It's part of your wiring. What you have to get a sense of is how you're wired so that you can understand how you interact with other people, okay? Because you judge everybody else against you as the standard. If you're 7 feet tall, everybody's short. You walk around every day wondering why everybody's short, and really you should just dial into the fact that you're tall. What if your style is a little bit quick and fast as you work and interact with other people? You wonder why everybody else around you is so slow. But really you've got to change your perspective and realize if you're fast, it's actually your job to slow down with your clients, okay? If they seem to move more slowly than you do. It's your job to pay attention to how they communicate and lean into their style. You don't get any points for being authentically yourself if your natural style is very different from somebody else's. You're much better off, and I believe you're much more authentic if you lean into someone else's style and recognize the difference. Do something for me once. So let's start to really understand this move to consciousness. Set things down so that your hands are free. Make sure you can move your arms around without smacking someone next to you, because that would be bad. And just fold your arms for me. Fold your arms, right? As quick as you can. Now, if you look around the room, there's all sorts of different patterns for how people fold their arms. But for every one of us, what we just did is a pattern that came out of our subconscious. You didn't think about, does your hand go above or below your right or your left elbow? You just went where you always go. That's operating out of your subconscious brain. Fold your arms the other way. You should see you from here. There's like 10 of you still struggling with it. Now, there's 5 of you still struggling with it. Okay, it's harder, right? It's a little awkward. It's a little quirky. You're starting to feel parts of your body that normally you don't feel, right? Squeezing my arm here, it gets a little creepy. This is what it feels like when you're stretching beyond your natural self to lean into someone else's style. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to need to do that every time that you pay attention to your staff or pay attention to your clients. But if you're never doing it, then you're clearly missing an opportunity to make a better connection and to communicate more effectively with somebody else. Consciously, you need to see how somebody is different from you, because if you're not choosing to be self-aware and be conscious of that person, you're operating out of your automatic patterns that exist in your subconscious. And those automatic patterns are not always the best. What's this word? Oh, come on, folks, wake up. What's the word? Silk. What does a cow drink? You know better, right? You know better. Why would you screw that up? Almost everybody did. Because our subconscious brain loves to jump ahead of our conscious brain. And sometimes that's good, right? Helps us fold our arms pretty quickly and pretty easily. But when it jumps ahead of us in communication, we actually start to say and do things that we know are wrong. And we don't pay any attention whatsoever. What I would suggest is that most of us interact with other people out of autopilot every single day. Our job is to actually switch our brains on, become aware, and notice other people. Notice their physiology, notice their body language, listen to their tone of voice. Pay attention to how we should lean into their style to make a better connection. That's what this stuff is all about. Ever play with these as a kid? Tops, right? Little wooden tops, spin them on a table. Picture 3 tops spinning on a table in front of you and say the word tops. Tops. Come on, that's not a trick. Say the word tops louder. Tops. What do you do at a green light? Some of you got there. Some of you still had the wrestling match. Did you feel it? A wrestling match with yourself. That's two parts of your brain chopped in half, fighting with each other. Your subconscious brain is dying to throw out the answer quickly. Doesn't matter if it's the right answer, but it's a quick answer. Your conscious brain can stop, pause, notice the other person, reflect, pay attention. Everything changes when you notice other people consciously. Everything changes. In fact, another great example that I like to use is the physiology, right? Our body language that's driven out of our subconscious. Here's a study from 70 years ago. Anyone seen it before? 70 years ago, Albert Moravian said, what makes people like and trust other people? Underneath that, he was saying, how do we build rapport? Wouldn't it be great if you had a better way to build rapport with your staff, better rapport with all of your clients? And there really is a better way. It's about what you choose to be conscious of, what you choose to pay attention to. Take a look up here. The good news is, well, the bad news is you don't know what you're saying half the time. We've already demonstrated that twice. But that's the bad news. The good news is nobody seems to care what you say in terms of being able to build rapport with them. You can get people to like and trust you even if you think cows drink milk, because it's only 7% of what we judge in each other to decide, do I like and trust you? 5 times more important than the words we use is our tone of voice. You're making more judgments about do you like me or not based on my tone of voice, not the words that I say. Think about it. How many of you have children or access to children? Yeah, everybody, right? So children are masters at this, okay, because they're not trying to hide so much in terms of their tone of voice when it comes through. When I say to my son, how was school? And he says, oh, it was okay. I kind of know it wasn't. All right? Think about the uber message that sits behind the words that someone uses when you listen to their tone of voice. It's so clear. You've all done this. I know you have, right? Ever get in a little spat with your loved one and say something like, of course I love you. Right? Do you? In that moment, do you really? Maybe not. 5 times more important is your tone of voice. So my question to you would be, in the last week or two, engaging with your staff and engaging with clients, what tone of voice did you bring? It's amazingly important to build rapport with them, to get them to like you, to get them to recommend you, to get them to call you back. What tone of voice did you bring? You brought this one. You brought your very comfortable, automatic, subconscious tone of voice that you use in every circumstance. But you know what? With a little bit of consciousness about listening to the other person, you'd recognize if you lean into their style, lean into their tone of voice just a little bit, it's 5 times more important than what you say, okay? You still got to do a good job, but if you do a good job and somebody else does a good job, but somebody else pays attention and builds rapport by watching things like tone of voice, and most importantly, body language. Body language matters so much in deciding, do we like and trust somebody, right? Do we want to recommend them? Do we want to have them come back and work with us? And your job is to watch theirs and pay attention to yours. It's so critically important, but we don't pay any attention to it. We get real busy with the job, try and say a few of the right words and leave. One of my classic examples is if you fly, okay? And I fly all the time. And when I hear a flight attendant talk over that microphone, they are so disengaged with what they say. Look at you nodding your head. It's unbelievable how little they seem to care about us and whatever's going on. And most of the time, they're reading off a script anyway, right? Words just don't convey much. Tone of voice and physiology conveys everything. So here's some of the most common tools that have been in the marketplace for decades to help people understand themselves better and figure out how to make better connections with other people. Raise your hand if you've been through something that's up on that list. Myers-Briggs, DISC assessments, predictive index, profiles international. Keep your hands up if you've been through it. I want you to keep your hands up if you remember your designation from going through that model. Keep your hand up if you can tell me the designation of a staff if they report to you, right? You know all their designations as well. And keep your hand up if you know the designations of your top 5 or 10 clients, or your top 5 or 10 suppliers, or your banker, or your peers, your colleagues, or even some of the folks here. And the last thing, of course, is keep your hand up if you used that knowledge to communicate more effectively with them yesterday, and the day before, and the day before. And I'm not trying to force everyone's hand down. If your hand is still up, awesome, because that's what you're supposed to be able to do from every one of these. Learn about you, learn about other people, figure them out quickly, and do something differently. So what I want to take you through is a program that allows you to do just that I have found to be very effective. I was a customer and used it in my own business for 3 years, and it's what I've been speaking about now for 12 years. All over the world, I've delivered these programs in Geneva, Paris, London, Shanghai, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Beaver Dam. Wisconsin. Yeah, that's where I'm from, but we've delivered it there also. You can see in my graphic up here that there's a card each one of you should have. It's a half-sheet card that shows you the same model. What I want you to think about looking at this model is, where do you fall? Which of these color energies do you have a preference for? Which ones are automatic for you, like folding your arms comfortably, and which ones are really awkward? Which ones are harder for you and more of a stretch, okay? I don't want you to think of becoming a color. You're not going to be a red guy or a blue girl when you walk out of here. You will lead with red or lead with yellow or lead with blue. And that's the way that I want you to think about it, because you're more than just one color. But for all of us, one or two tends to dominate how we show up all the time. So think about it right now. Is it fiery red? Is that what you lead with? Are you determined, competitive, demanding, strong-willed, task-oriented? You're always in go, go, go mode and you love to get stuff done. Think about, is that an energy that you have a high amount of? I'll tell you who does. My wife, Linda, has high red energy. For 27 years, when I'm driving the car and she's in the passenger seat and the light turns green, she says, go. Just like that, right? She doesn't shout it at me, but every single time she says, go. She might be looking down in her purse, reading, like her head's below the dash. The light changes, she says, go. For 10 years, I would pull over and have a fight with her, right? I'd get out of the car and tell her if she wants to drive, she can drive. I bought one of those little kiddie steering wheels and hooked it on her side of the car. That didn't go well. That didn't go well for me. But there's such a bias to action if you lead with high, fiery red energy. You can probably identify for yourself. Do you have a lot of that? Okay? The opposite, because there's a dynamic of opposite personalities. If you look across the model, the opposite of determined, competitive, fiery red is amiable, patient, calm, caring, earth green. You might have a lot of earth green energy in contrast to high fiery red. You love to collaborate. You love to support other people. You love to help people. You're a really good listener. When you're listening to other people, you tend to say things like, what happened next? Really? What else? Then what did you do? Really? Tell me more about that. That's interesting. See, I'm just letting you go wherever you want to go. That's listening with good earth green energy. What's it look like when you listen with high fiery red energy? You're waiting to interrupt, so you're waiting for a little gap in whatever it is that they're saying, so you can dive in there and take control of the conversation and get something done. That's listening with high red energy. What about listening with sunshine yellow energy? Energetic, enthusiastic, and optimistic. You're still listening to jump in and interrupt, but you just want to make the story about you. That's what yellow energy does. Think about, is that an energy that you have a high amount of? Energetic, enthusiastic, optimistic, karaoke night, happy hour. You're already fired up for whatever's going to happen tonight when this whole crew heads out, right? You're looking forward to that, to engage, to meet new people. It's how you re-energize yourself. It's extroverted feeling energy. It's energy that's focused on people in an extroverted way. Red energy is focused in an extroverted way on task, on data, on facts, on logic, on getting stuff done. The last energy that I'm describing is cool blue. Analytical, cautious, precise, seeking a deeper understanding of why things are the way they are. You're more interested not in the circular side of this card that you're looking at, but the back side. And you've noticed it already. I know you have. That's all the detail. Because if you're going to learn something about something new, you're looking for all the detail that you can get. You're quietly seeking a deeper understanding of why things are the way they are. So it shouldn't be that difficult to plug yourself into one of these quadrants, recognizing that what it means is that's an energy that you lead with. And by the way, everything I've described is pretty good, but you notice up here it says on a good day. So when you're having a good day, not so much stress in your life, this is how you show up leading with these color energies. I lead with yellow, by the way. Yellow energy, enthusiasm, karaoke night, right? Presenting to groups. I love this stuff. But I lead with yellow followed by red. So a good way to think about interacting with me is have fun, get it done. Okay? I still like to get a lot of stuff done, but I like to put yellow energy above it. Have fun, get it done. My wife, Linda, leads with red followed by yellow. Get it done, and then we'll celebrate. But if it doesn't get done, nobody's going to celebrate anything. So you start to see this little different perspective that we have. We're similar in many ways, but we're also different in ways. By the way, put yourself in a quadrant, just thinking through, I bet I lead with that one. I think I have a lot of red or blue or green or yellow. Just for fun, think about your spouse or partner right now. Which quadrant would you put them in? The person that you're interacting with every single day. Remember that red and green are opposite types, and blue and yellow are opposite types. Think about it for a second and let me know, How many of you married your opposite type? Look around the room. What were you people thinking? Opposites attract. We're drawn together, right? It feels like something new and interesting. We call it love, and we marry them, and then we want to kill them for 40 years. Because they literally do everything differently than we do. The psychology underneath the model says they gather information differently than we do, and they make decisions differently than we do. It's if we're unaware, right, we can reach a conflict with them pretty quickly, but when we're aware, we realize they bring gifts to us that we need. So this is when you're demonstrating these energies in a really positive way. What happens if you get a little stressed? What happens if you're running behind on a project, or you can't figure something out, or you've got a real tough client to work with, and it raises your stress a little bit? You move from good day to bad day. Still leading typically with the same color energies, but now they don't show up so well, do they? When my wife helps me drive the car forward, she thinks she's actually being determined and purposeful, but in my opinion, she's more aggressive, controlling, driving, overbearing, and intolerant, right? I see bad red when someone keeps telling me to drive forward. And this is so common in our world now. She speaks on this topic as well. So whenever she does it in a new and extreme and different way, she laughs and says, use that in your training. So I do. And whenever I do something excitable, frantic, indiscreet, flamboyant, and hasty, she uses that example for me as well. For instance, I back out of the driveway the wrong way every day. I've done it for 35. I hope somebody else does it too, because otherwise it's just a bad wiring thing that I have. If I know I'm going that way, I back out that way. And I stop. And I think, dang it. And I pull back in and I turn. And I see her in the window like 1 out of every 3 times. Because she knows I'm going to do it, so she wants to wave at me from the window as I'm leaving. That's what she sees in me, bad yellow. I leave a full cup of coffee under the coffee maker about every 2 weeks. I mean, every 2 weeks. It's just, right? Yellow energy. I'm always off to the next thing. I'm jumping ahead with energy and enthusiasm to whatever it is that I'm doing. But look at the other two as well. Cool blue. You can overuse your brilliant cool blue energy and show up stuffy, indecisive, suspicious, cold, and even reserved. Or earth green. Overused earth green, or earth green under heavy stress, docile, bland, plodding, reliant, and stubborn. What I want to do is give you the ability to gauge yourself even a little bit more than you're guessing right now. Take a look at another handout that's on the table in front of you. It's just a list of words. Okay? It's a list of words in front of you. Could someone hold it up? Just make sure everyone's looking at the same thing. Perfect. Take that list of words, and as quickly as you can, just circle any word on the list that describes you well. No need to overthink it. Just describe any word on that list, or circle any word on that list that describes you well. And when you're done, answer the one question on the bottom. And let someone know if you need a pen or a pencil to fill that out. You can certainly do it after they finish, but answer the one question on the bottom. And then let's get that guy a pen and that woman a pen, just so they can go through it as well, and that guy and that girl. Keep going. I'm talking to those of you that are finished already. Some of you went through it very quickly. Some of you just glanced at the page, circled a bunch of words that popped out at you, and did the question on the bottom, and you're done already. Quick and easy. That's your style, right? There's probably some fiery red or yellow in there that moves you forward a little more quickly. I'm actually watching many of you go line by line by line, because you don't want to miss a single word. That's your style of how you show up. 2 very different personalities in something as simple as just looking at a list of words. And the message, of course, is your personality shows up in everything you do. When you answer the question on the bottom, it's going to give you some guidance about what we call insights, color energies. Guidance about how you show up in this model. And most of us think we're operating out of the good day model all the time, but not necessarily. Other people might perceive you, even though you're having a great day, in the negative. So look at whatever your highest energy seems to be. And take another quick peek at bad day. And I know what you're doing, most of you, is confirming, I never look like that to other people. I never look like that to my staff, or my spouse, or my customers. But you know what? The risk is, yes, you do. And if you're not aware, you'll never be able to solve it or change it or fix it. So it's all about becoming more aware of the energies that you lead with. Those of you that lead with more red and yellow, you're sharing what your results are with people on either side of you already, especially if you lead with yellow energy. The folks who lead with blue and green are taking longer to fill it out, The folks who lead with blue kind of think it's personal information, none of your business right now. I know how this works, okay? I know how this works. Let's do a little survey in the room. Who believes, based on what we've just done so far, that you lead with red energy? Where's the red energy in the room, okay? The folks that are moving ahead, right? Going after tasks, getting things done. Who leads with that complementary opposite earth green? You just lean more towards amiable, patient, caring, and relaxed, okay? How about cool blue? Analytical, cautious, precise. Yeah, a few more of you as well. And how about sunshine yellow? Nothing? I would think some of you are dying to go, woohoo! Right? Yellow energy loves the recognition and loves to claim it. It seems like interesting in the room, most of you lead with yellow energy, followed by blue. Now, I want you to think about those two unique styles as you're meeting each other and connecting with each other and coming together. Yellow energy loves to engage at any time about any topic, right? With a lot of words and a lot of chatter. You can relate to that if you lead with high yellow energy. What if you lead with cool blue? Right? You're more about being a little quieter, a little more reserved, analyzing the data. I can almost tell to the person who leads with which energy, because you don't realize it, but you all nod your heads when I talk about your energy. You're confirming with me that you buy into it, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You didn't say, I'll shake my head at Scott so he knows I lead with blue. It just happens. That's what physiology does. Those are the kind of clues that your customers are giving you every day, or your staff is giving you every day. They're giving you the clues for how they would like to be treated. Let's do this. On the tables in front of you, as you can see, right, I've got wristbands. Grab the wristband of the color energy that you lead with, and if you'd like, if you have two energies that are very close to each other, fairly high, you might want to wear two wristbands. But at a minimum, please put on one, because it's an indicator of your unique personality and how you would like other people to communicate with you. And realize what it means for the rest of the day and tonight is if you put on yellow, people are going to talk to you a lot about anything. You can put on three, but know that you're going to have to give people a little bit of guidance for what direction you want them to go. There's nothing wrong with that. In our model, you can lead with one or two or three energies. If you put one on, people are going to know exactly how to work with you. If you put two on, they'll probably go in one of two directions, and you can give them some guidance. Go ahead and put those on. And if you're sitting with somebody that you know, or if there's somebody in the room that you know well and you've been wondering where they fall in the model, as soon as you're all banded up together, raise your hands up and take a look around the room at people you know. See if there's any head fakes for you or any surprises. Just raise your hand up if you've got the wristbands on and look around at the folks that you know and have known for years. Any surprises there for you? No, yes. Right? I know some of you are looking at someone else in the room that you know thinking, you? Cool blue? Not really. It's all perception. It's all about what we think we see. We're also a blend of these color energies, by the way, and teams are all blends because people are going to perceive us differently. People are going to take a look at us within the model and start to see us not always the same way we see ourselves, but imagine how much better you'd be at communicating if you actually paid attention to this stuff. By the way, there's enough wristbands on here, I imagine, to take home for a spouse or partner. Try that on for size for a week or two. And by the way, keep them on for a week. You want to really be a better communicator? Keep them on for a week or two. I work with clients that have kept them on for 5 years. You know why? It makes them brilliant communicators because they're paying attention to what we call color energies, which is personalities, every day in the work that they do. And by the way, nobody else knows what you're doing. Everybody else who sees you with one or two wristbands on is going to think you're charitable. Who cares? Right? That's actually a benefit. There's a benefit to keeping it on to learn more about yourself and practice this stuff. What's underneath our model is the psychology, right? The same psychology that underpins MBTI or Myers-Briggs. It's the psychology of Carl Jung. Cool blue is represented by introverted thinking energy. That's the psychology that's underneath it. If you lead with high cool blue, your approach to life tends to be having high standards. You want to know that things are being done the right way. You bring a healthy skepticism to things like this presentation. You're not buying into all of it yet. I know that, right? It's a healthy skepticism. It's the gift of critical thinking, and you want more time to analyze the information that I've put in front of you. You might be seen by others as analytical and distant. It doesn't say you are. It says you might be perceived that way by others. That's just how the color energy shows up. But you have a goal of understanding. You want to know why things are the way they are. If you have high cool blue energy, that resonates with you. High earth green, approach to life, focus on stability, values, supporting others. Your goal is harmony. You want to know that people are being well taken care of and getting along with each other. You might be seen by others as mild and docile. Again, it doesn't say you are. You might be perceived that way. We know that somebody who violates the values of someone with high earth green energy too many times is really going to pay a price. Right? We like to say that unconditional love sits in that earth green quadrant, but if you push them and push them and push them or violate somebody's values or don't treat people fairly, we like to say, hell hath no fury like earth green energy scorned. And if you lead with it, you know what that might look like. Some of you just pointed at someone else. Approach to life for sunshine yellow energy is fun and interaction, a connection with a lot of people. You love the chance to network with other people, to make new connections, meet new people, a goal of recognition. Nothing wrong with that, a goal of being recognized for who you are and the gifts that you bring. You might be seen by others, however, as disorganized. Doesn't say you're disorganized, but you might be perceived that way. For me, right? Backing out the wrong way and leaving coffee once a week in my home. Looks a little bit disorganized. In fact, I created a routine over the years as I'd walk out the door of my home saying, keys, wallet, briefcase, keys, wallet, briefcase. My son, who's 21, he does it now. My wife thinks we're both idiots as a result. But you know what? Boy, I tell you what, it really helps right in that moment. Fiery red, inner certainty, focus on action, task-oriented, get stuff done. The goal of personal achievement, meeting challenges. You might be seen by others as impatient. Okay? And it's because you've got such an orientation towards get stuff done, get stuff done, get stuff done. That's the model, right? That's the wiring of it. This is my family, by the way. That's about 10 years old. My son is 6'3", age 21 now. A little different than the photo. The reason I bring them with you is tax reasons when I travel. No, well, maybe. But we came into my office 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and I had that card on the desk. And my son, who was 9 years old, leaned over the card and started to read it. And he read determined, competitive, demanding, purposeful. And my 6-year-old daughter, Scotty, right then said, Mom, you're red, so am I. Just nailed it. Mom, you're red, so am I. My friend Dave came around the corner, and we used to use a lot of hats in our programs. And he said, let's take a picture. Everybody grab your color, grab your hat. So just like that, instantly, my wife and my daughter grabbed their fiery red caps and put them on. They're ready for the photo. I lead with yellow. My oldest daughter leads with yellow. Look at her hat, by the way. I didn't say put it on crazy and crooked. That's yellow energy. May appear disorganized, right? But it's fun. And for her, enthusiastic about the photo. So the four of us are lined up, extroverted, 2 extroverted thinkers, 2 extroverted feelers. Fiery red, sunshine yellow, ready to go. My daughter said, hey, let's take this picture. Then we're going to go out in the parking lot. On the count of 3, we're going to throw our hats in the air. We're all going to jump. We're going to take that picture. And then we're going to, all right, blah, 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 blah. That's yellow energy. Like, let's try a bunch of new stuff. If you have high yellow, that's what you do. My son hadn't moved. He was still reading the card. Quiet, not a word, right? And then he says, can I wear more than one hat? What does my wife say with fiery red? No, pick a hat. That's what she said, I swear to God. No, pick a hat. Because fiery red is all about get stuff done, get the job done. So she said, no, pick a hat. And I said, actually, I guess you can wear as many hats as you want. So there's a long pause. And he says, I'm green, but I'm more blue. Puts on 2 hats. That's why I have the picture here, right? How many people would put on 2 hats in a picture like this to convey their unique personality? Well, anybody who leads with blue, green would probably want to do it because the right answer is to show the 2 colors. Cool blue, the shortcut is do it right. You'll take the time necessary to do it right. Fiery red, get it done, get it done, get it done. May not always be exactly right, but man, we're going to get a lot of stuff done. Sunshine yellow and earth green, not so much about that criteria. They're about people. Earth green is one-to-one connections. If you have high earth green energy, that's your sweet spot. One-to-one connections, right? Personal relationships. Yellow energy is one-to-many. You're probably excited you get to present to some portion of this group today. That's what yellow energy loves to do. Bringing energy, enthusiasm, present to others. That's the energy as it shows up. The psychology that's underneath it is pretty universal. It's what MBTI or Myers-Briggs utilizes to demonstrate what it is. Cool blue, introverted thinking. Fiery red, extroverted thinking. Sunshine yellow, extroversion and feeling. And earth green, introverted feeling. Now, think about the one you lead with and think about something that's close to it. Because I want to move you beyond just one color as you communicate with each other over the next couple days to the first 2 colors, if you can, for each other. Somebody who leads with red is all about get stuff done. But if they lead with red, yellow, like my wife, it's get it done and let's celebrate. Awesome. Get it done. Let's celebrate again. Someone who leads with red, blue is, let's get it done. It better be right. Let's double check. Do you see how different those two folks are? They both lead with red, but red, yellow, and red, blue are different. So what I want to do is give you a chance to go one step further in sharing who you are with each other for the course of the conference. There's stickers in front of you right now. I want you to think about a unique combination of stickers that you might put on your name tag. And what I mean by that is you could put just one sticker if you're totally comfortable leading with just one energy. But for me, because I said I lead with yellow followed by red, I'd put a red sticker on my name tag and then a yellow one over part of it. Now you see that I lead with yellow and I've got red underneath it, so you can expect to see me show up with yellow first, red second. Think about that for yourselves. Take the stickers and come up with some combination right now and put it on your name tags. How do you want to show up? How do you want to be seen? And probably more important, how do you want other people to interact with you based on what you're showing? You put red on there, people are going to talk to you about getting stuff done, right? Running your business. Yellow, you're going to make a lot of fun people connections. Earth green, you'll have more one-on-one conversations with people. It will drive people's behavior. And if you put cool blue up there at the top of the list, it's going to say, give me some space. I'm thinking about what's happening here, and I'll reach out to you when I'm ready. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and put the stickers on your name tags. I'll give you a second to do it. Go back and confirm it on the list of words if you'd like. By the way, if you lead with high red and blue energy, you're a double thinker. Double dose of thinking-based decision-making. You say, I think, what do you think? If you lead with high yellow and green, you're a feeler. You tend to say, how do you feel today? How do you feel things are going? What do you feel like for lunch? Your decision-making is reflected in your language, so be aware of that. Show what you put on your name tag to the folks on your right and left, and just look at the comparison and the contrast. Red energy says, do it now. Yellow says, do it together. Green says, do it harmoniously. And cool blue says, let's make sure we do it right. Right now, notice who's talking the most. Look around the room. Who can't stop talking? Who's not listening to me yet? Okay? There's a yellow sticker on there somewhere. You know there is. And if you lead with blue and green, you're hearing every word I'm saying. Yellow and red, not so much. This is our wiring. This is how we show up. Think about your personal relationships. Think about a spouse or partner. Where do they fall in this model? Your job is not to go home when the conference is over and say to them, honey, I just figured out all this great stuff about myself. Let me tell you what you can do to better connect with me. You're going to get slapped, okay? It's not going to work. You've got to be careful with that. What you want to do instead is think about the energies that you believe they give off or that they lead with, and your job is to lean into them a little bit more. I'll tell you how as we get to the end. Here's one of the ways that you can recognize the energies in a spouse or in a client, most importantly. Read this slide for yourselves. You're going to watch this happen today in the hotel. I promise you, you're going to watch the dynamics show up. If you lead with red and yellow, there's no such thing as a full elevator. Right? There's all, look at those of you betcha. I get in every single time. Blue, green, not so much. Right? Introverted energies, I don't want to get in there with people like this. It's how we're wired. You know which one of these things you tend to do. You know the things that someone up there does that really bug you the most. Okay? Some of you might even be guilty at some point of leaning forward, pretending to hit the open door button and really hitting closed door. Hey, I'm sorry. That's bad red. Okay, you shouldn't do that. That's probably bad red. But if it shows up in something like, right, all these little behaviors that we indicate, when you walk in the door to do work for a customer, they're giving you the clues. Are they chatty? Do they want to talk with you? Great. Make sure you continue to talk with them if they're near you. If they're real quiet and tend not to make a ton of eye contact with you, they're probably totally okay that you quietly do your work. Okay? If you start to notice the clues that people give you, it's obvious. And in advance of going to work with someone or see someone, if you're exchanging emails with them, Every email is a clear indicator of color energies. If you're getting long emails with lots of detail, someone with high cool blue energy sent it to you. If you're replying back and you lead with yellow and red, what do you write back? Great. See you then. Okay. Right? You need to give them more. You need to give more detail back when you're getting a lot of detail at the front end. It's a clear indicator. Some of you are laughing, and it's kind of like oh my God, right? I do that every time. Your unique personality shows up in every email that you send if you're not paying attention, because you send it out of your subconscious brain. It's automatic, it's a pattern, it's easy. You've got to shift gears and become aware, not just of the people, but of how they communicate with you. Notice the emails that they're sending you. If you get one that's full of exclamation points and energy and enthusiasm and emoticons and PS, okay, cool blue energy, they would never stick a PS on the end of an email. What would they do? They go back and rewrite it and stick it in there and spell check it, right? Like you're supposed to. I can see the cool blue wristbands with the head nods. You're right. I would never destroy an email with something like that slapped on the end. But if you lead with yellow energy, there's always more to say, always something else to add. If a client sends you an email and you see the energy in it, don't reply, pick up the phone and call them. They want to talk with you. They want to engage with you. That's what yellow energy is looking for. Whenever we can talk and engage with people, give us the chance to do it. That's how it shows up. You can even sense when someone is sending amiable, calm, earth green, right? Through an email, it shows up. There's a one-to-one side to it. There's a connectedness to it. Don't write back great or got it or good. There's a huge miss if you don't come back and keep that personal connection going. By the way, even if you lead with fiery red, okay, and you would like to just write back great or okay or the letter K, don't do that. Spend a second and put something in there. Make that connection, because it's really going to make a difference. If you lead with fiery red energy, be careful what you send. 225, 227. Right? You're not trying to hurt somebody's feelings here, but if they lead with high earth green or yellow energy, they might think, oh, I'm okay, I'll talk with you. Oh, never mind. Right? Oh, where's that connection that we would have had? It's all about knowing your own style and paying attention. It's also about, once you get a sense of and you've made a decision, and I would really encourage you to think about your customers, your clients, and even your staff in terms of color energies. What's the first and second color energy you believe they lead with? Show them the card. Ask them the question. You're going to find out that you've been doing a lot of the wrong things in terms of how you manage your teams, and you haven't been paying any attention to how your customers show up in this model. And as you now know, with a wristband and some identification on your name tags, this stuff matters. It really matters to people. Take a look at some of these things, the strategies for connecting and adapting with Cool Blue. It's interesting because we say connecting and adapting, and really what you need to remember is to create some space. Create some space for you if you're interacting with someone with high Cool Blue energy. Calm down, slow down, give them time to reflect. Give them a lot of information. If you're meeting with somebody for the first time, sharing what you do, and you hand them information, and they look down to begin to read it, you need to just wait. And you need to be silent as long as they continue to read. Because what's happening is they're using Cool Blue energy to draw that information in. And if you're out there, or your sales teams are out there talking to people, they tend to have more red and yellow energy, so they tend to start talking at the person who's trying to read. It happens in almost every instance. But if you're aware, if you're noticing the person, you're going to have a whole different angle on it. When you're going back to ask your teams, your staff, that's funny, I thought that was my pocket for a second. I thought, oh, how did I do that? But if you're talking to your staff, when you hand them a card, they're going to say, let's see, red. I lead with red. Why? They'll talk it through. Yeah, this is fun. Cool. Are we going to use this model? This would be a blast. Look at the back. Lots of colors. Right? Yellow. Just the way that they're answering the question. If you show that card to someone on your team and they go totally silent, your job is to say, hey, take that back to your desk. Spend some time with it. Let's talk about it when you're ready. That's you being a brilliant communicator. That's you leaning into their style. Cool Blue wants more time to look at that. Earth Green is going to want more time as well, because Cool Blue is deciding what they think about it, okay? Or a client who leads with Cool Blue is thinking about what they think of you. And the more details, the more data you can give them, the better. Someone with Earth Green is deciding if they feel good about working with you. It's a feeling-based decision. And it's more introverted, quiet, thoughtful. Give them time to reflect, right? Share personal stories. Don't rush that decision in any way. You rush earth green too much, it goes to earth green on a bad day, and you don't want that. So give them time to feel their way to an answer. Think about gaining commitment too, right? Show people the benefits, ask in a friendly way, and pause. Wait. Slow down for cool blue, slow down for earth green, and listen to your tone of voice as you do it. Okay? If you don't like slowing down, be careful that you don't think you should, and instead give a very irritated, bad, fiery red tone of voice back. I know you need time, so just take some time. That's not good, right? Give them the tone of voice that you're hearing from somebody. It's one of the best clues that are out there. Adapting strategies for sunshine yellow, a lot of conversation, a lot of connection. It's also a feeling-based decision. They really need to like and trust you to want to work with you. Same thing with your staff. They really need to like and trust you to bring you their best performance. And you know this, right? If you're managing a team, you'll never demand their best performance and get it. Whatever you demand, you'll get. But you won't get their full skills, and you'll never get all their passion or all their commitment. If you don't build rapport, you don't get it, which means if you do build rapport, you can get it. And it's the only way to get the best performance out of people, right? Is give them everything. So pay attention to the ways in which you would make connections. Fiery red. And what some of you are starting to recognize pretty quickly is, oh, look, because I lead with fiery red, this one's really easy for me. And that's great. Even in that instance, you should be aware of how you're coming across, right? Because what you want to be careful of is, what if you both lead with fiery red? You're going to start to realize maybe that you're both kind of competing to be in charge of that engagement, and you don't want that. If you know they lead with red and so do you, give them some decisions, right, that they can make, and you win no matter what the outcome is. No matter what it is, you're giving them a chance even to negotiate in some instances. Clients who lead with fiery red love to negotiate. How about those of you in the room who lead with fiery red? Do you like negotiating for things? Yeah? How about earth green? Do you like negotiating for things? Probably not so much, right? So it's not just enough to be lucky to have somebody lead with the same energy that you do. It's about being able to lean into it and work on it and practice it, okay? This stuff doesn't just happen automatically, by the way. Step one is become aware, but then two is use the model. Be aware, identify somebody else, and take them down this path. Do not walk out of here for the rest of the day. Even if you did put on one wristband, which is okay, don't say, I'm red. I'm the red guy. Everyone will speed up for me now. I want you to get a language that says, I lead with red. I tend to lead with red. I use red energy a lot, because you probably do, and it's great for people to know that. But we're all a lot more than some mix of color energies, right? There's a lot of unique personalities in this room. There's about 8 billion personalities in the world. All we're doing is trying to create a path of communication and a new level of awareness to pay attention to customers and clients. That's the goal, paying attention to customers, clients, and your staff. And the cool thing is you've all got a chance to practice on each other for the rest of today, tomorrow as well. As long as you're together, start to watch people from a distance. I would really encourage you to keep the wristbands on so that people can see two people interact from a distance. I did one of these large conferences, and the sales manager came up to me right afterwards, and we used the dots to do the same name tag identification. He had about 15 red dots on his chest and one on his forehead. And I said, whoa, you're totally into this stuff, maybe a little too much. And he said, I didn't do this to myself. My team did this to me. Okay? Maybe his team didn't just see good red in terms of how he was showing up. Maybe they saw it as a sense of overusing some of it. What I want you to think about and be a little bit more aware of is understanding yourselves, okay? Understanding you in this model is really, really important, because you make your value judgments about other people based on how much energy you bring. That's how we're all wired, based on how much energy you bring. Let's take some celebrities and just see if we can't plug them into the model somewhere. If I tossed out, who's been in the news lately? Donald Trump. What energy does Donald Trump maybe lead with? Probably fiery red. Is it good or bad red? Mostly bad, okay? And some of you are quiet and you don't want to say good, but because you're either thinking, and by the way, what you're thinking is dependent upon how much red energy you have. If you have 5% red energy, very, very low, he's the biggest jerk in the world. If you have 95% red energy and you're all about getting stuff done, yeah, he's a jerk, but he gets a lot done. You see how your value judgment changes based on how much you have? If you have 5% yellow energy, a lot of people at this conference around you are excitable, frantic, indiscreet, flamboyant, and hasty, right? Bad yellow all over the place because you just have a very low amount. If you've got 2% earth green, a lot of people around you are docile, bland, plodding, reliant, and stubborn. We make value judgments about other people based on the amount of these energies that we have, which is why it is so critical to start with an understanding of who am I, how am I wired. And by the way, you should reconnect to this every morning when you wake up. Remember my kitten and my lion? Wake up, look in the mirror, and just have a quick chat with yourself. All right, I'm going off to work. I've got this idea. I lead with high red or red yellow or blue green or whatever combination. And by the way, it's very possible to lead with two opposites. Some of you might be looking at the model and saying, you know what, I have a lot of fiery red, get it done energy. Boy, I'm also very amiable, patient, and caring. Yeah, in our model, you can lead with those two color energies. Realize that as people interact with you, they might have a harder time recognizing what direction to go with you. So if some of you put on two opposite colored wristbands or two opposite dots, that's fine. 10% of our profiles actually come out that way. But other people, as they see that, are going to want to say, hey, want me to get right to the point, or should we talk about it for a little bit? And now they're basically saying, what direction should I take you? And you can steer them whatever direction you want. That's the power of it. So regardless of where you fall in the model, start your day with looking in the mirror and making yourself aware of it, right? Keep the wristbands on. Take a peek at them a few times today and start to watch the interactions that you have with other people and that other people have with each other. That's the greatest proving ground. When you can watch people who aren't paying attention to the color energies and compare it to people who are. You clearly see the difference in terms of building rapport. So it's who are you, who's everybody else? Carl Jung described this as seeing the otherness of the other. Paying attention to customers and recognizing how they're showing up and being able to lean into it is your challenge, right? Is your opportunity at the same time. And ultimately, by the way, step 3 is simple. Lean into their color. What you're really doing is leaning into their unique Jungian attitudinal functions, but blah, 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 who's going to think about all that? That's why all those other models are so difficult to use. If all you think about is, this client seems, they're moving fast, they just want me to get the job done. Okay, great. I'll talk to them like this. I'll pick up my tone a little bit. I'll throw a little fiery red right back in their direction. They will love that. Or if they seem to be really calm and really easygoing, even though I lead with high red, I'm going to lean into that style a little bit. Step 3 is as simple as lean into their colors. Lean into their colors. It's the same with your staff, and it's the same with your spouse. Remember I said I'd give you a little guidance for your spouse? Do not go home and tell them what you've learned about yourself and how you would like to be treated. That's really going to get you in trouble. If you decide they lead with earth green, I want you to go home when you're back home, and I want you to walk in quietly and hug them for 2 seconds, okay? Hang on and say 1,001, 1,002. By the way, don't count out loud. That's a horrible backfire. If you hang on too long, what's going to happen, right? 1,003, 1,004. They're going to squirrel out of that hug because it doesn't happen all the time and say, what did you do in Minneapolis? Are you having an affair? So earth green, just a hug, make a connection. Amiable, patient, caring is what they're looking for from you. Sunshine yellow, call them on the way home and say, hey, I've got some energy. How about a happy hour with some friends? If you lead with yellow, you're like, yeah, I love happy hour. But if you lead with blue and they lead with yellow, that's not your typical phone call probably. Right? But it could be, and maybe it should be. Lean into that yellow energy. If they lead with cool blue, you might want to send an email or a text suggesting you stay home and read a book together, or whatever they seem to want to do in an introverted thinking kind of way. And fiery red, right? My wife leads with fiery red. I talked about that. If I'm actually aware, I'll come home, set my briefcase down and say, honey, I'm home. I've got some energy. What's a job you'd like me to do right now? Right? We call that foreplay. Hey. Can I say that? It's leaning into someone's style, right? It's leaning into and delivering to them what they want the way they want it. The psychology behind all this stuff is basically how you gather information and how you make decisions. If you think about influencing other people, that's what you want to know. How do they want to get the information from you? A lot of talking, a lot of conversation, or a lot of detail that they can look through quietly where you're not involved? That's the kind of thing that you want to notice. And how do they make their decisions? Listen. Listen for the words. They're either going to say, I feel like you might be the right vendor for me. Or they will say, I think we're on the right track here. Okay? And then what you want to be cautious not to do is respond to that by saying, well, I feel like we'd be a really good partner because they just said, I think. And you should say, I think we'd be a good partner. I think we're ready to move forward also. It's all about focusing your attention on the otherness of the other. But none of this works if you don't choose to turn your brains on, okay? You have to be able to switch your brains on. A quick example, a quick way to remind yourself in the morning when you're looking in that mirror, thinking about kittens and lions and color energies, is notice you're blinking. In fact, notice you're blinking right now. Think very hard about blinking. Every one of you has given me a big, creepy, bug-eyed stare. Nobody's blinking at all. When you think about it, you change it. That's the point. When you wake up and look in the mirror in the morning, if you notice you're blinking, you've become self-aware. You've got to be self-aware to use this stuff. Notice yourself first and think about what you're bringing out to the marketplace or into your companies or out to your customers. Be aware of your unique personality, okay? Know who you are. I think this model is a brilliant one to help you do that. Observe the otherness of the other. Notice how people are wired differently from you. And the bottom line is take action on this stuff. Take action, move forward, hang on to the information that I have in front of you. You might want to take some of the stickers and put them on your cell phone. Imagine reaching to answer a call and seeing your unique personality as a reminder that somebody's about to start talking with you on the phone and giving you the clues to their unique personality. Go back and think about your voicemail messages. What does your outgoing voicemail message say about your unique personality? Right? That's the last piece I'll give you because we get voicemails all the time when we call back to people. If you call me and I say, "This is Scott, leave a message," what color do I lead with? Red. Leave me bullet point message, okay? Don't leave me your life story. If it says, "Hey, it's Scott, sorry I missed your call, leave me a message and I'll get back to you." Energy, inflection, enthusiasm. Hey, get me on the phone and chat with me. I'm looking to talk. This is Scott. It's Tuesday, December 3rd. I'll be in a meeting from 9 until 12 and from 1 until 4:30. Please leave your full name and your number and the purpose for your call. You know what you do with that one? Hang up. Those of you who are nodding your head, lead with cool blue. If someone leads with cool blue, they don't like voicemail. Especially if you lead with yellow and you're leaving the message. Because you scatter facts that are important all throughout your chatter. They have to listen to your message repeatedly to pull the facts out. If you get a cool blue message like that, hang up and send an email with all the detail. Do you see how easy this can be? It's easy to do. It's hard to remember to do. That's the key. Last message. I have to get ready for this one. Hi, this is Dave, and I'm really sorry that I missed your call. It's very, very important to me. Oh my God, is this message important to this guy, Dave, right? Leave something that reflects back that earth green. Make that connection. Use this everywhere you can. Hang on to the tools. Have a lot of fun with it today. The more you talk about it, play with it, enjoy it, the better communicators you will be. Thank you.